All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. We got the EOC, well, it's really TNS Speed Shop. This is our oil catch can for the EcoDiesel Gladiator. I'll put in a picture right here of what my turbo intake tube looks like. Definitely has some oil in it, which is normal for a diesel motor, turbocharged diesel motor. But this is supposed to kind of help mitigate the PCV system from dumping oil back into the intake. Instead, it's just going to collect in this can, which you can just empty out. So let's install this on the EcoDiesel Gladiator. All right, they do come with instructions. I can't read French. Oh, look, American. Install the catch can, bracket, relocate the sensor, install the plate to plug the original hole of the relocated sensor on the catch can, cut the original hose to fit. It says use this diagram as a reference. Looks like there's a plug there. It says that this isn't the exact picture of it, but you can kind of get the idea of the way the hoses are routed. Example only. So as you can see, let's unwrap this here. Put all this stuff right here. All right, we got everything unpacked here. I can't tell you about the quality of this stuff. So it does come with the harness for the pressure sensor that you're gonna have to relocate. And then when you relocate the pressure sensor, they give you a plug with an O-ring to go where that pressure sensor was, because you're gonna relocate that right there. Hardware, the adapters for the hoses, and then this really nice welded aluminum tray, which goes up on here. Yeah, so that's it. So step one is we're going to attach this to this and mount this on the car. So this does have their nice logo on it. It has a sight glass and then your access to drain it. Let me pull that apart and show you guys. All right, guys, so the normal position for this valve is all the way out, and that does not allow the oil to come out. So if you want to drain the oil, you would screw this counterclockwise, and then once it goes all the way in, now the oil will come out. So if you go all the way back out, it locks. Once it's locked like that, no oil comes out. So this is how you want to install it on the car. And then when you want to drain it, when the sight glass gets full, you screw this all the way in and the oil starts dripping out. So now we're going to attach this to there with those two bolts, which are the fatter of the bolts that we have. So let's attach that. So it does have a washer that goes on those as well. And I found it easy just to kind of line it up like this. Like everything else on the Jeep, you're gonna need an open end 13 to get this bottom bolt right there. So test fitting this on the EcoDiesel. So this bracket right here, you have to remove that bolt and then bolt it up through there. And then bolt here, and that was just like that from the factory. So you had those from the factory. This 90-degree bend, it was straight down, but I did move it 45 like that. And I'm not sure if that's the correct place yet. We still got to figure out how these hoses route. But for now, we're gonna leave it like this. And we're gonna take the top off, which is 2 10s. So 10 millimeter, pull back. All right. And we have to find the hose right here. I believe it's this one. Let me go look. I'm using a very small amount of True Glide grease just on the nipples and the O-ring right here, just to kind of ease it going in. One thing I noticed when you install this bracket right here, this bolt, you want to make sure this bend right here, you want to make sure that's not rubbing on that radiator right here. You want to make sure that this is out enough where it's not going to be rubbing on this plastic and crack your radiator. So just check your clearance on that. You can easily pull that out of the way. You don't want to break, you don't want that chafing on there. So you want to make sure you at least have a little gap on there. This is how it went on. I'm going to adjust it and show you. So these top two bolts take the Torx bit, so it looks nice and fresh and looks nice. Let me tell you what size that is. So it's going to be a 4mm. All right, guys, I'm OCD, so I just found a random nut, and it doesn't thread on. It's obviously one size bigger than this, but we're going to use this as a spacer in order to push that bracket off of that radiator right there. So let me show you how this is going to go. So there's the bolt right there. Screw goes through the bolt. That way, see how much gap you have right there? You don't have to worry about that bracket rubbing into the radiator. And then with that bolt right there, there's still a sleeve that goes through there. So the radiator itself, as it vibrates, it's still isolated by the dampeners, but this just comes out more. So this, I don't know, I guess they could machine this a little bit more out at this bend right here. If this bend right here is longer, it still doesn't affect that. I mean, that looks real nice, right? So that's basically how it sits on there. All right. This right here is the PCV. So it takes the, let's see here. This is the sensor, what it looks like the sensor. Yeah, because that doesn't detach. Right. So this is the sensor we're going to take off, and this is the hose we're going to use. So let me show you how this is going to work. So this sensor right here, that's an 8mm. So we're going to unscrew this out all the way, which I already did. And then you're going to wiggle, 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 pull up. You don't want to break it. Just wiggle. Wiggle and pull up. And so this sensor right here, well, I'll put some grease on that O-ring as well. But this sensor is going to be relocated on here. And it also has a harness to relocate. And you're going to screw in the dummy one back into here. So the dummy plug, which has the same O-ring on it, this is going to go on right here. So we're going to use the same bolt. The bolt they supply is the same size, so we're just going to use the same bolt. All right, I'm going to tighten this down, but I'm going to do it by hand. So if it bottoms out, I'm not breaking anything. Hold on. So the bolt went on, no issues. It just tightened down. So you got this plug on there now. And then this right here, we're gonna undo this sensor right here and install it on the catch can. So this clip right here, we're gonna undo this, and then you'll be able to push this and separate it. So you're gonna pull that red tab all the way out like that. And with that out, you should be able to disconnect this. With that out, you're gonna disconnect it. It's not gonna come off that easy, but that's the general thing. This is gonna get installed on here. Like this. I'm gonna put some lube on that O-ring. All right, so still 8mm with the new bolt. Snug that up on there. Don't torque that down because it's plastic, but just tight enough for it to be still. So now we're gonna run the jumper harness from here to here. I used a single zip tie on here to kind of hold the harness from falling. Maybe the only way I could see it hitting the fan is if you went under that hose, but you'll be fine up here. This just secures it. this ain't gonna hit anything or chafe on, you know, rub on anything. All right, so the only thing left is this hose here. So what we're gonna do is this is gonna come off here and basically go to this. And then this one right here is gonna go here. So here to here, here to here. This is probably gonna be the hardest part of doing this. So this video is gonna help all of y'all who haven't done this yet. You gotta cut this hose, and you gotta cut it so you have enough to hit here, and then wherever you cut it, the other end is gonna go here. So looking at the hose, I do have numbers on here, 240019, 25, whatever. But let's see here, because I want that bend. Because you want this will pivot around, but you want enough after the bend. So if we cut it right here before the 2, if we do a cut right there, that should be enough to trim if needed. So we're gonna cut here and see how that goes, and I'll let you guys know. We cut it right before the 2 right there. This is gonna pivot this way, and that is gonna go into there. It should be good. Okay, so this is gonna be a kind of game of cat and mouse. So while this is good right here, we're not rubbing on anything. You know what? I'm happy with that, because it is going to push it back that way, but this right here is good. This isn't going to cause any issues. And this is nice and tight there. And then this, definitely trim some off of that. So kind of line that up. And we're gonna cut it right about there. So as long as you cut in between, so on here, it's probably in between the 2 and the 5. Actually the 9. All right, guys, so on this side, you wanna cut it right there after that 9. So right about there. So you can kind of line it up and see where it needs to be cut. Just kind of line it up, mark it with a marker, and just cut it where you want it right there. You want it right here. This I'm happy with right here. As long as it's, you know, it's 90 degree, but as long as that's tight and it's not gonna pull apart, we're gonna be good. So going back to the instructions here, the top one seems to go to the air filter inlet there, the top tube right there, and then the bottom one goes to the top of the crankcase. So bottom crankcase, we're not rubbing on anything right here, so no rubbing. All right, and then this one right here goes from here to the air intake, no rubbing. Okay, the way that's set up right there, I'm not worried about that hose coming off, because that's definitely like a gripper on there. So we'll see how it goes, because this isn't under pressure. Yeah, you're gonna have crankcase pressures come up, but that's not like 20 psi boost. We'll find out. I'm definitely gonna do a follow-up video after, like, you know, 300 miles. I want to check the oil level and all that. So I will do a follow-up video on this. The cover does fit. I mean, look at that. That is some engineering right there. They really thought this out. So this has padding on here, so I'm not really worried about that. This right here, I'm gonna put some extra padding up on here just so nothing's chafing on that. All right, so I added foam on that, and right there where it makes contact, and we're gonna tighten that up. So here's the final result. See, we got plenty of room in between there, no rubbing on the radiator. No rubbing on the cover. You got room under there. Nothing's touching. This right here, yeah, we're gonna have to move this probably in between right here. So let's take this bottom one off. Let's relocate it. So the sight glass on this is going to be right here. So it's kind of hard to see. It would be nice if they put the sight glass on this side. So, TNS Speed Shop. If you were to make any changes to this, two things. One, extend this bracket a little bit, this part right here, before you bend over so it doesn't rub that and I don't have to put that spacer in there. And then two, put the eyesight hole right here. Because it's not like you can rotate this. And then maybe include some foam so you can wrap that in foam for other customers who don't have access to foam. So we did relocate this up here. I did use a single zip tie on here to prevent this from just shaking and rubbing. So this is gonna be fine right there. This has insulator on it, so I'm not worried about that rubbing because the engine is gonna rub independent of this. So the only rub part would be right there, and it's got the sleeve on there, so we're good there. Other than that, that's not gonna be in the way, and we're good. All right, guys. Thanks for following along. Please like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell. I got a bunch of other videos like this here on the EcoDiesel, on Jeeps, on adventures, maintenance, and we'll see you on the next video, guys. Thanks for watching.